So we're sitting there in the movie theater for the screener. It's me, it's Joey, it's Gia, because Nick went to a different screener. He couldn't go with us. And as we're sitting there, we're looking up at the Gladiator II kind of promo image. And I look at G, I look at Joe, and I go, what a missed opportunity here. Gladiator 2. They could have had it Glad 2-ater. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they
you got to scream it. Yeah.
They could have just done it.
And
they did it.
Yeah, they did.
And then the movie starts, and the first thing you see, Gladiator, and it splits into the two, and I
we
go
all look
crazy.
at each other. Because I was like, Ridley Scott's, I was like, Tim, you have to want to have fun with it to do something like that. I was like, Ridley Scott's not
Ridley's
fun.
not the guy.
He's too serious.
Turns
and
out
I was
Ridley
wrong.
is the dude.
I was wrong.
Ridley is the goddamn man. No fear from Ridley Scott.
We might have been the only people in that entire
Pop it
theater
off.
that popped for when the eyes split.
You have to imagine that there was a conversation about the promotional material and putting it in there. And there was one dude that their version of Tim Geddes was like, no. We got to save it as an Easter egg. People are going to lose their shit when they see this at the beginning.
I did, man.
He's not wrong.
Welcome back to Kind of Funny's Gladiator in Review. That's right. We're ranking, reviewing, and recapping every Gladiator movie. And turns out there might be more. Gladiator 2 seems to be doing well, and Gladiator 3 is in early stages of development. So we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out, Joey.
Interesting.
Of course, this is Kind of Funny's in Review. Each and every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. Thank you so much for joining us on this amazing little journey to Rome in the form of Gladiator in Review. Next week, I am pleased to announce Take 10.
Yep.
We're going to attempt to do Miyazaki in Review, The Boy and the Heron. Me, Nick, Andy Cortez, Belinda. I think it's going to happen. Everyone is locked in. Everyone is not sick. Everyone says we could do it at this table.
We got a lot of time till then. So
what could happen? The world could end. Who knows? But the plan is we're finally going to get to it, and I'm really excited about that. But enough about that. We got to talk about what we're doing today. And what we're doing today is making fantastic content for you. If you love the content that we make here at Kind of Funny, you should get the Kind of Funny membership. It gets you all of our shows ad-free. You can watch live as we record them, and you get a daily exclusive Greg Way. Shout out to our Patreon producers, Drummer Boy, Casey Andrew, James Hastings, Nathan Lamoth, and Carl Jacobs. You are the best of us. Today we're brought to you by Aura Frames and Shady Rays, but I'll tell you all about that later. I want to get right into the good stuff. And remember, in Review, this is fully spoilers. So if you do not want to be spoiled on Gladiator 2, I would stop listening right now. And for everyone else that doesn't care to be spoiled, if you saw Gladiator 1, you pretty much saw Gladiator 2. This is very much a Metal Gear Solid 2 situation. So yeah, enjoy yourselves, everybody. This one's directed by Ridley Scott. Once again, this music was not done by Hans Zimmer this time.
Interesting.
And the thing with that is it was all the same themes, though, right? Like it was a lot of just I'm forgetting arrangements of classic songs. The person that did the music for this is Harry Gregson Williams. Nick, where do we know Harry Gregson Williams from?
That's a good question. I'm blanking.
The answer is Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, shit.
Metal Gear Solid 2, 3, 4, and
what a
5.
fitting choice.
Yeah. And other movies as well. Actually, let me pull up because I feel like Nick will appreciate some of the things that we know him.
That doesn't
know him
sound
from.
familiar to me, but I also don't know anything about Metal Gear, so that makes sense.
He did the Spy Kid soundtrack, Spy Game.
Yeah.
Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas, Man on Fire.
Oh, that's another Ridley Scott? No.
Tony Scott.
There were some other ones that I remember reading and being like, oh, this is such a Nick-ass movie.
Spy Kids is an interesting one.
Yeah, it is. Cowboys and Aliens, also interesting.
Wolf, that movie was a miss.
Okay.
But anyways, everybody, there we go with our boy, HGW, as everyone's going to call him from here on out.
For sure.
This one was released on November 22nd, 2024, which, yes, as of recording, is tomorrow.
Trust me, we didn't all just show up in the same clothes 2 weeks in a row.
We're trying to get some content done around Thanksgiving, so we're trying our hardest out here, y'all. Running time of 1 hour and 48 minutes. Budget.
No way.
148 minutes.
Oh, 140.
100.
Sorry.
I thought you said 1 hour and 48 minutes. I was like,
there's
no
no
way.
way.
Yeah,
This shit was
148
long.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the budget was about 310 million. So far, it's at 87 million with the box office, but like it's so early. It's tracking very well, so people are predicting it's going to be a relative hit, all things considered.
It'll be interesting to see because I feel like this is a obviously huge blockbuster moment, and so is Wicked. So like having them both come out this weekend feels not great for Gladiator, probably.
How do we combine this to Barbieheimer?
They already have one. It's Glicked. Yeah.
Clicked.
Glicked. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
How do you feel about that, Barrett?
Gladiator.
That's better.
That was the best.
That's better.
Best contribution possible. Barrett's in there thinking.
Drop the mic. That was wonderful, Barrett. Great
That was
job.
fantastic. That was so good. So so that's all we got here for Gladiator 2's little stuff because there's the movie's not out yet.
Yeah.
So I want to start with Nicholas. What'd you think of Gladiator 2?
I was entertained.
Mm-hmm.
I was entertained.
I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
But it is so resting on the shoulders of a better movie that I couldn't help but feel like they could have done something different with it. I think the standout for me was Denzel Washington. I liked his character. I liked his performance in this because it's just wacky and bonkers, and he's having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked his sort of. I just liked that was pretty much the only element of this that felt new. It felt. Everything else just felt like we're in well-worn territory, and it's good. But for me, the things that I would recommend why you should see this in theaters because the action sequences, specifically the sound design for the action sequences, were phenomenal. And I do want to give a special shout out to the Emperor twins, who just in concept is cool, and Joseph Quinn's great, and the other guy was great too, and it was fun. But ultimately, I think my feeling leaving it was. That was great. It was just too long and too much like the first movie. But if this is your first Gladiator movie you've ever seen, you never saw the first one, man, you probably love the shit out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Joey?
I want to love this more than I actually did, I think. I had I would say a great time in it. I think it's a really fun watch. I don't think that I will go back to this one as often as I would go back to the first Gladiator. I had the whirlwind experience of watching Gladiator 1 and Gladiator 2 within like a 24-hour period. And I had a great time with it. I think I can say that I love Paul Mescal. I don't know that he has the stuff to like be the guy in this movie. I think he had a good performance. I don't know that he's got the like movie star power, especially in comparison to Denzel, who is so good in every single scene that he's in. I think it's really hard to compete with that kind of like chemistry that he's worked on and built over so many decades and years. So that's kind of my issue with it. I wish that we would have gotten, I don't know if it's more or something different from Pedro Pascal, who I also love.
But the problem with the character is that he and Lucius are two parts of Maximus.
Yeah.
So you're really the issue that you have is not necessarily Pedro Pascal, who I think is good in this. It's just they're not really giving him much.
Yeah.
As opposed to Paul Mescal, who I think is good, but he is lacking. He sits kind of squarely for me in that like oh, geez, now wasn't it? Well, yeah, kind of Glenn Powell, Henry Cavill area where it's like you look the part, and you're big, and you're good looking, and you're a decent enough actor.
Which is not historically the kind of roles that Paul goes for.
Yeah,
or is cast in at least.
But I do think he was miscast in this, especially because look, the whole movie is living in Russell Crowe's shadow. It's all living in Maximus' shadow, both in like format and function. And so when you put them up against each other, yeah, I mean, Paul Mescal's better looking. He's bigger.
Very attractive.
He's jacked out of his gourd, and he's got a deeper voice. But there's just something about Russell Crowe in the first one that just makes the movie very special. And in this, no matter how many times he says, "I'm not someone that talks," and then proceeds to give a grand sweeping, oration, it just doesn't really work. It kind of falls flat a little bit.
Yeah. Tim, what about you?
It's weird because I can just say I loved this movie. Like, I don't think that I can start by saying it's not as good as the first one. But I think it's a great sequel. I think it does everything. All the bits of it, I think, like par for par when I compare it to the first. I think there's a lot of elements of the second I actually do like a lot better. But I don't think it comes together nearly as cleanly. It is very, like you said, living in the shadow of Maximus. I think very much this movie lives in the shadow of the first one. Like, it's kind of interesting just like how similar the plot is. And I feel like that can get a little distracting at times. But what I appreciate about it is it's a movie through and through. Like, a lot of times when I watch like legacy sequel stuff or even just movies these days, I'm like, oh, this feels like it would have been better served as like a short series on Netflix or something. Or when I'm watching a Netflix series, I'm like, you could have tightened this up and made it a movie. Watching this, I'm like, this is a movie.
Yeah.
It feels nice to watch a movie again. And it feels like they accomplished everything they were trying to do in the time, the runtime of this film. And to Nick's point, like the blockbuster epicness of this should be seen in theaters. Like, I feel like you were doing a disservice watching this on a TV. Like the getting in the arena and hearing it around you, especially we saw it in Dolby Atmos and it was incredible. That stuff I think was awesome. I feel like the action scenes are so cool, so well choreographed, fun as hell. All the speeches are rousing. And my favorite thing about this movie is the cast of characters. Denzel Washington is phenomenal. So much fun to watch. I really liked Pedro Pascal. Like, I was totally fine with how much he was in this, what he did, and how he fit the story. Because in some ways it surprised me. Like, I felt like there was a very clear path for them to go down. And I liked that they didn't. And I can see wanting, well, if you didn't do that, give us more for him to do. I feel like they gave him everything he needed. And Paul Mescal, probably the weaker point of me in this movie, where he just doesn't have the stuff. Like, it reminds me of, in the last movie I said that, in the last in review, I was saying that Maximus reminded me of Stone Cold Steve Austin. This guy reminds me of Roman Reigns before people liked Roman Reigns, which is like, you're trying to get us to like him more than we actually ever were going to believe in.
You're
this
giving
guy.
this guy a push.
You're pushing it,
whereas,
right? Yeah.
Whereas it doesn't feel organic that he landed this because he's getting that big push organically. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which is so interesting because I think for a lot of other things that I've seen him in, he's so good in the standout. So it's interesting to see him not be that in this.
I don't know that I've ever seen him in anything else.
So he's in Normal People, which is with Daisy Edgar Jones, which is a Sally Rooney book adaptation for BBC One that's now on Hulu. And then he was in All of Us Strangers with Andrew Scott that came out last year, which is heart-wrenching and incredible. Like, both of them together is truly incredible, but like both projects wildly out of the scope of something like this. This is, I think, his biggest role by far.
Interesting.
And then he did After Sun, which is also really good, but also very much in that indie scene.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. But the costume design in the first movie, fantastic. We didn't talk about that much, but in this one, I'm like, oh my God, every single outfit looks so sick. And I like how many different outfits there are, especially for Denzel Washington's character, who kind of like evolves throughout the movie.
Cool capes.
So damn sick. Love all that stuff. But the highlight of this movie for me is those goddamn Emperor twins. I love everything about these guys. They are, as much as I loved the bad guy in the first one, now there's two of them. They're all diseased and fucking weird. Like,
one of them has a pet monkey that he's very attached to.
Emperor twins.
Puts in charge.
Like, even just the words Emperor twins is hilarious and awesome. Everything you need to know. And yeah, his little monkey, what was it, Dondum? Something like that.
Yeah.
And that he ends up giving a position of power. It feels very much like what's going on right now in our world, which is scary. It's very scary that Linda McMahon is in charge of education in America. But you know what I mean? Hey, shit happens. A monkey could be here. And I goddamn love that monkey. And I just got to give a shout out to, what's the Emperor's name?
Joseph Quinn.
Joseph Quinn. Barrett Courtney, man. Every time I see this guy, I think about Barrett. It's a little fucked up in this movie. The role he plays doesn't remind me of you, but seeing him, I see his face.
Because we're so used to Joseph Quinn with long hair, but Joseph Quinn with short hair.
Yeah.
Dang, I see it now.
Right?
Good for you, Barrett.
So anyway, yeah, I had a great time with this, but I do think that the insistence on tying it back and like some of the retcons and plot twists and family dynamics, I'm like, I get why you had to do it and all that stuff, and it works. This is a sequel in so many ways, and like cool, but I don't think that it's as special as the first one.
I also think that the ending for this one is like a huge letdown.
I hated it.
For me personally, I think it's so anticlimactic.
It's very anticlimactic, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it's very rushed.
Yeah.
And it really kind of does the movie a disservice, because by the time we're done with this grand sweeping big battle, first off, the movie peaks with the water battle, with the naval battle, and then when we get to sort of you got to save your mom battle with all the senators, she's like, I don't really care so much about this, and then he's like, oh, the armies are riding out. And then the other armies are there too, and then he's got to ride out, and then he has to have. And you're like, dude, I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
See, I didn't feel that way. The armies and stuff. I'm actually happy we didn't get like this crazy ass battle scene with that. I don't think that would have been great. I liked that was kind of more the backdrop for his one-on-one with Denzel that I thought was really cool. Like them in like fighting in the water and shit. Like I like that a lot.
Sure, but at the same time too, it's like, well, again, all of this is just literally ripping off the first movie, which does Gladiator 1 a disservice. But second off, it doesn't really like. Does Denzel really have a chance in hell of beating Paul Mescal, who's just this incredibly good fighter? I don't know.
I mean, didn't he do it as well?
I guess he was.
That's how he got there?
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Denzel's
that's
got
fair.
the stuff, man. I trust in this guy. What's his name? Badassatron?
Macronus.
Macronus.
Like Optimus.
Come on.
Yeah, I just
Is
felt
that
like
why you like all these names? Because they sound vaguely like Transformers?
Maybe.
Yeah, I just felt like, I mean, again, I think the movie is very enjoyable, and I do think if you're going to see the film, definitely see it in theaters. It's worth it just from the action sequences alone. But to me, it's in that weird nebulous category where the second you say Gladiator is getting a sequel, I'm gonna go, oh, does it really need a sequel? It kind of makes the movie, it cheapens Gladiator 1 because you're gonna call it Gladiator 2. And then you go to yourself, well, it doesn't need a sequel. It makes it feel like it's a Hollywood product, as opposed to Gladiator 1, that is kind of a special sort of moment that everyone decided we're deciding this is better than it is, right? Yeah, okay, cool, let's lift it up. This one, you're like, oh, okay, it feels kind of like a money grab. And so I go in thinking, okay, they've got to really do something different and something special to really further this plot. Because candidly, I don't want any more of Gladiator. It ended. I'm good. I don't need to see. I don't give a fuck about Lucius when he was a kid. I don't care about that. I don't really want to see him now. And then when it turns out he's Lucius, I was like, oh, of course he is.
Of course, yeah.
And then he quotes his dad. You're like, he's the dad?
I hated that.
Why the fuck is he the dad? He wasn't the dad. In fact, they even have a line in Gladiator 1 that I wrote down where he's like, how old's your son now? She goes, oh, he's 8. He goes, I have an 8-year-old son too. To which I wrote, do we have the same son? Apparently they do.
Yeah.
But
I am on the opposite side of you for this though, of like I was saying even about Gladiator 1 last week. Like I don't understand and can't fathom that winning Best Picture. Like I love the movie for what it is, and I think that it's great. And I think that as a movie, it is a 5 out of 5. But like Best Picture, like I don't know. To me, Gladiator 1, it's a blockbuster movie. So we're getting a blockbuster sequel. I'm cool with that. This already felt like a franchise to begin with to me. And what do I want from that? Upped things, crazier Gladiator stuff. I want sharks in the arena.
Gotta have sharks in
and
the
we
arena.
got sharks in the arena.
We did.
Do we understand how they have sharks in the arena? No, but do we care? Absolutely not.
No.
I will say that I think that this is, for as much as like I feel like we sound negative on it here, I still had like a really good time. And this is in the upper echelon of legacy sequel movies for sure. Like this, I think blows a lot of other, like compared to like Beetlejuice and like all the other ones that we've watched recently.
Agree.
I think that this is like much better than a lot of those.
I would agree. And I think it's a very enjoyable movie. And I think if nothing else for the action sequence, the first of which is phenomenal.
The first one I think is my favorite.
I think it might be my favorite too. Really, really cool.
The rhino's
Choreography is great.
cool, too.
Stunt choreography is amazing in this. It's worth seeing from just an action standpoint. And honestly, Ridley Scott, who has lost a step a little bit in his last couple movies, I think really kind of brought it here as far as just the sheer volume.
He
of
tried. I mean, they tried. I think everybody in this movie, like they wanted to make a good movie.
They did. But again, you make a legacy sequel to something everyone loves, and it's so hard not to have that fall short of the first one. And I just want every single person who's thinking about making a legacy sequel to go home, fire up Paramount Plus, and just watch
let it happen.
Top Gun Maverick from start to finish, which is a movie that just builds on the first one, feels new, feels different, but also has the same spirit of Top Gun. And it actually is a better movie than the first one.
Straight up better
That's how
movie.
you make a legacy sequel.
In 5 business days. That's not even true. Just 5 days. I'm going to see Top Gun Maverick with an entire symphony orchestra.
That's what you should.
And I can't fucking wait.
Should.
I can't wait to look up. I'm front row. Didn't mean for that to happen, but I'm front row, dead center. I can't wait to make eye contact with the guy that's going to hit the gong. And it's going to be fucking powerful, dude.
But like this. Let me hear the go.
Just once.
Technically, I think it's a big bell, but it's going to be fucking
whatever,
sick.
dude. We'll see what they have.
It's going to be sick. Anyway, those are our thoughts on Gladiator.
I love it.
Dose.
All right. We're about to get into the plot right after a quick word from our sponsors. This episode's brought to you by Aura Frames. Like a lot of people, my mom is not the most tech savvy, so it seems weird to get her a tech-adjacent gift, but Aura's digital frame is actually perfect. That's because, yes, it's tech, but it's so easy. Seriously, it's so easy to get started, but then once you do, the tech is incredible. You can upload photos right from your phone in just a click. It'll even pair photos together for me like 2 pictures of the same person or from the same day. There's no memory cards or USBs required. Most people at Kinda Funny have Aura Frames at their desks, and it's always so fun to see what memories they have displayed. It is such a great gift for your parents or grandparents, and you could even surprise them with their gift being preset with your own pictures. For a limited time, you could visit auraframes.com and get $45 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code KINDAFUNNY at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code KINDAFUNNY. This exclusive Black Friday Cyber Monday deal is their best of the year, so don't miss out. Terms and conditions apply. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for this holiday season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have all of your gift-giving needs covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's always such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day 1, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Exclusively for you listening right now, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades.
Now, normally I write down something cool that one of the characters says, but it's like very generic.
Yeah, or just the same stuff from the first one again.
He tries to play it so stoically, and it's like, it really is a disservice to the movie, because I'm like, I don't want to watch you play this stoically. I want to watch you kind of like, no, I can't be cool. Okay, I'm cool. Anyway,
I think it would have been a more interesting premise if he hadn't been leading his like own army in this first one, and he really had to rise to like find this within him.
Yeah.
But I love the first one so much that or the first battle that I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
Either.
And of course, but we don't start there. We start with a weird painted montage of the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which is odd.
Yeah, it was odd. It was especially odd having just watched it. Yeah. I'm not going to hate on it because I do like that type of stuff set in the stage. Visually, though, I didn't love it.
No.
Like that,
it's ugly and it's not well done.
I didn't
you didn't need it. And we don't need flashbacks to the first movie. We don't need that. Anyway, we meet our character here who's going by Hano. But his name, of course, is Lucius. He's the son of Lucilla, nephew to Commodus, and of course the son, I guess, to Maximus, which we're retconning here. We meet his wife, Arsat, who's awesome. She's a
so sick,
fucking warrior, archer, badass. And then we meet his buddy / captain, who is the guy from 300. He goes, "This is madness." And Gerard Butler goes, "No, this is Sparta," and then kicks him into the pit. I'm like, where's this guy been? This guy's awesome.
That's crazy.
This is where I confess I've never seen 300.
I've never seen 300.
Put it on the list. 300. It should be Troy, Braveheart, 300 next for this epic
Where do we put
series.
Waterworld?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay.
So
you put that. You know what you do that? You put that
because I like the show at Universal Studios. It's fun to
take
watch.
Waterworld.
There's a lot of fire,
and you wrap it up with The Postman, and you chuck it into the sea.
Oh, okay.
That's the movie Kevin Costner did after Waterworld, and it was a 2 for 2 on that
Got
one.
it.
Bad films. Of course, he's like, "Hey, man, what are we doing?" And then, oh shit, the Romans are coming. Just right into it. We don't need a lot of backstory. Right into it. Something weird about this guy, but everyone's like, it's fine. He's very, very well educated. We're not quite sure why, even though he fucking left Rome when he was like 10. Doesn't matter. They're coming, and they're coming via naval. And who do we meet? Pedro Pascal, who plays
love him in this opening scene.
Acacius.
I think he's really, really cool, and I wish that we got more of this vibe of him throughout the rest of the movie, but that's very much not who he is.
It's awesome. He's Maximus, basically. He's like, we're sieging this town. I don't really want to. And he gets there and he kills, of course, Paul Mescal's wife. He orders her to
so
be shot
targeted,
down by the archer.
You know, because she's up there freaking archering people, bowing people, arching people. I don't know. She's doing it, and it's really sick. And then he like looks up and sees her, just dead eyes, just like, no, take her out.
Can we talk about the trebuchets?
We have.
There's so many of them. There's so many boats. It's really cool.
And then pretty early on, we see the one guy just get destroyed. right? Where I forget what it was. Like it was like either I think it was a trebuchet kind of like back, like fucking
Either
up and then like
that, or it
smashed
feels
him
like
against
a
the
giant,
wall.
like a javelin or something like that. That
It was violent.
pins him to the trebuchet.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first moment that we heard a lot of like audible reactions in the audience, and I was like, we've been watching this movie for like 3 minutes, and
Yeah.
like we are strapped in for
This is
some
rad.
gore.
This is rad. The whole thing's cool. Of course, they win. Paul Mescal freaks out that his wife got shot, and then he gets knocked off into the water.
I
and
do
then,
love their exchanging of rings, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is, let's be
It was
honest,
sick.
this is a
Yeah.
hot couple.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a
Big
good-looking
fan of
couple. of
They
people,
also
if you
really like to
think-
make out.
They very much like to make out. Wonderful moment though, where he sees she gets knocked in, he gets knocked over, and he's on death's door as well. He looks over and she meets the ferryman, and he like escorts her onto the boat, and he realizes she's dying. Of course, he wakes up, and the battle's over, and he's just in the water, and he like kind of wades out and like cries over her body, and the Roman soldiers behind him are just like, "Man, we don't want to be here either,"
No, man.
and they kind of just take him in, and he's brought into slavery. Of course, we get a scene with
He
Acacius.
breaks off the
snaps off her
bow.
arrow.
Yeah, he snaps out the arrow and keeps it.
Mhm.
We'll see that later. Well, we won't see it till way later.
Yeah. He
I don't know
has
where the
it
fuck he hit
throughout it, though.
But does he?
We know.
Rub it.
Proof it?
What?
It's here. Acacius, great moment where they're burying basically all the dead and everyone that are the natives of this land that I believe is in North Africa.
Yes.
They're just crying. Here's the bellows of all the family members that are like, why the fuck did this have to happen? And he's like, for the glory of Rome. And you can tell that he's like, I don't
He's
want to
fucking
do this
over it,
anymore.
man.
Yeah.
This is terrible. This is unnecessary. It's horrible. Of course, Paul Mescal's character Lucius is sold into slavery, and Acacius returns back to Rome to be greeted by the Roman people as a great general, and by the emperor twins who are Geta and I lost it. Acacius, Catacara. I can't.
The
see it.
Emperor twins.
The Emperor
Yeah.
twins.
Who are amazing.
They're amazing. And they don't like him, and he doesn't like them very much.
They're
No.
such Metal Gear characters.
They're little
There's a lot
shitties.
of Metal Gear going on here, but they just have that, like, everything about them is just the quirkiest, weirdest version possible. I love
But
it.
also very different from each other,
Yeah.
too.
Hold on.
Do want to shout out Pedro Pascal has some of the best costuming, I think, in the beginning of the movie.
So sick.
His like general war outfit, and
And
then
the
this
sexy little
all
skirt.
this I love it with the little like flaps
It's
and stuff
great.
like that. It's so cool. And then this all white outfit with the crown of what kind of leaves are they?
Olive leaves, I wanna
Or
say?
something. They call it something in there. I don't think it's olive, but
Yeah,
Crown
and then
of
the gold,
thorns.
like, holstery
Yeah.
things. Oh, my God.
the white and gold
Buttons.
is such a look. It's so good.
Gita and Caracalla. Caracalla, of course, I think is the crazier one.
Yeah.
They greet him and they're like, "Hey, man, great job. You want to come to the Coke party?" He's like, "No, dude, I'm tired. I'm gonna go home." And they're like, "We're gonna throw some games for you." He's like, "I don't want that, man.
I don't want that, man.
We don't need that shit.
No.
It's cool, but I guess if you want to do what you got to do, these kids, of course. I don't know how they came to be emperors. It's 16 years after. How did we get here? Who were these kids? Why were they
don't
not in the
know.
first ones? Who are their dad that they have a lineage that they would have just been made emperor twins?
Great question.
Well, I
makes-
mean, I don't think that they existed, right? Because this
No
is 16 years later.
I think so. Yes.
The young one, the monkey boy, he's not 16.
No, he's probably 14. I mean, I think they're supposed to be like younger, but like Joseph Quinn's in his 20s.
Yeah,
Who are these
probably.
people?
I mean, maybe he was playing younger, though.
Maybe. Perhaps. Let's see. He returns home to his wife, Connie Nielsen, and he admits, he's like, "Look, man,
And
I
it's
don't-
kind of a reveal, right?
yeah,
It's her.
she's still here
She's with Pedro Pascal now.
on her third
A
husband."
really
no one's
hot
mad.
couple.
Yeah.
It turns out he's a pretty good dude, and he's like, "Dude, listen, I'm just tired of this shit. I can't do this anymore." And she's like, "Shh, there's spies everywhere." And then they look over, and some ladies just
Oh my
grab the corner, and like
One
wait,
of the funniest
The
scenes
stupidest-
ever, dude. It reminded
What?
me of
What are
Mortal
we
Kombat when what was it? Scorpion like does the little cartwheel out from the tree, Nick. Remember that shit?
Yeah.
Where it's like just the most inappropriate scene in a movie where I'm like, we're supposed to be taking this seriously, and she's all just like, I heard a secret. I'm gonna go
God.
tell someone.
So
Clearly,
bad.
that won't come back. It feels very like telegraphed. It's
Yeah.
like, oh.
Very much so. Let's see. He's like, "Look, I got 5,000 soldiers waiting at the port to overthrow the emperor." And you want to start really kind of being like, we couldn't come up with. They're in the same place as Maximus' soldiers were. It's like Osteria or wherever it was supposed to be.
Mhm.
This is the exact same plot of the first movie.
Yeah.
It's wild to me.
No, I mean it is wild, and that's why I do appreciate like how quickly we see like the face turn of Pedro Pascal. It's like, oh, he's not what we think. Like, I like that. Cool. I'm rooting for you. I want you guys to overthrow these Emperor twins. Like, I'm in it for the base story.
Yeah.
But like how quickly he's in slavery, and how quickly it becomes clear, oh, he's gonna have the exact same rise up story that Maximus did. Of like
the exact same thing.
The exact same thing of like, oh, we're going to the minor leagues.
Except he has to bite a CG monkey.
Let's get to that.
Let's talk about that
Let's get to that
now.
as quick as we possibly
We meet
can.
Macronus, who's played by Denzel Washington, arguably the best part of this movie, and he sets him to fight, and they make him bite, and he has to bite a monkey, and then everyone makes fun of him for being
the
monkey boy.
goddamn arena, right? And I'm like, what are they about to throw at us so early? Like, I know they're going to try to wow us, and they do with the bad guys from Venom. They just had these CG scary ass monkeys come out, and they're hideous. These things are fucking hideous.
Yeah.
I don't understand how anybody approved this to be in the movie. Like choreography, action, all that stuff, cool. Him biting the monkey, great. These things do not look like animals.
No.
They look like aliens.
They look like monsters.
They look like the monkeys that are in Hunger Games 2, which I know you haven't seen.
No.
But like in the Dial arena, and it's just like, I don't know that that's the vibe I want in my Gladiator movie, but like, it's kind of cool. So
it is
kind of
so cool.
Quick, I guess.
just wish that they looked like actual scary monkeys, because like the monkeys with their crazy ass teeth that over their mouths hella big. Like I get what they were going
Planet
for.
of the Apes. We know how scary they can actually be.
And that's such a good way to put it. If they looked like that, this scene I think would have hit so much harder for me. But like they look like the monsters from not Cloverfield. Quiet Place.
Yeah,
like,
they
they just look
that.
like alien monsters, which just does
weirdly
not
blue.
fit this. Yeah, it's all weird, man.
It's odd.
But shout out to Paul Mescal for being like,
fucks up this monkey.
I'm just gonna bite you.
I'll bite this monkey's ass.
And then all the other monkeys are like, whoa, we ain't fucking
Yeah, we're gonna fight with that guy by his ass.
That's one of those like, oh, you think that I'm stuck in here with you, you're stuck in here with me moments of Gladiator.
Okay. Cool. I just gotta. Okay. Sorry, Cool. She just slacked me in something. You guys keep talking.
Oh yeah. I forget what happens next, but I can pull
they're fighting, and he's like, "Look,
oh yeah.
do you want to go to Gladiator?" He's like, "Look, what do you want in life?" And he's like, "Well, I want to kill this motherfucker that killed my wife." And he goes, "Cool. If you become a gladiator for me, I'll get you there. We'll kill her. We'll kill him together. But you gotta do me a favor."
And then we get to one of my favorite parts. One of the only times I laughed in this movie, which I guess I did laugh more in this than I did in Gladiator 1, where Paul Mescal goes to like the mess hall and he sits down and everyone is just like slowly starting to make monkey noises
sounds.
at him.
So funny.
And like his reaction initially is like just ignoring everything, but then like he starts laughing and
like,
everyone says,
all right, yeah.
I get it. I
was
did
good. That
something
was good.
crazy, but here we are.
Off we go to Rome, the one of the Colosseum. Cool to the place. I love this. Macronus strikes up a bet with Thrax, who of course is the brother from Notting Hill.
Oh, is that what he's from?
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, he's so good. He's the one, of course, doesn't realize that Julia Roberts' character is who she is.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
And he's just like, man, you really look like Julia Roberts. And she's like, I get
Anna
that all the
Scott,
time.
he's like, you look like. She's like, I am Anna Scott. He goes, anyone want bread? Let's see. They strike up a bet. His gladiator versus Lucius. An exhibition match, but the twins are like, nah, we got to battle to the death. And he's like, cool. And Lucius kills him, but he quotes a quote beforehand. He's like, and he's like, wow, that's an interesting quote. And then Macronus pulls him aside afterward.
Like in the big party.
Big party. And he's like, hey, man, you got to be cool. Because you keep
cool.
saying shit like that, people are going to know you're not who you think you are, even though I don't know who you are. And he's like, all right, cool.
Nailed it.
Let's see. Lucilla meets with Gracchus, who is the same actor, which is cool. They got him back for this as well.
Oh my God, what a pop off moment.
Yeah.
I love that. Like seeing this old guy, I was like, didn't expect anyone else from the first movie back. Like, and I like that they played it like, you know, obviously the camera's like, hey, you should know this guy. But like, it felt like, oh, this is appropriate. I feel like his role in this movie made a lot of sense. And like, especially as we get towards the end, when like him and all the other people are like tied up to the mom thing, it was pretty sick.
Yeah. Of course, they meet with all the other senators who are in on this plot with Acacius to overthrow the emperor, including Thrax. Big mistake. Never trust someone with a severe gambling addiction. The games begin at the Colosseum. This time, Lucius and the team have to fight a dude on a fucking rhino.
God.
Whoa, Nick, what's that face?
It's great. Don't get me wrong. Fun sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about the first Gladiator that was somewhat grounded in reality. And this, you're like, all right, we're
There was
gone.
a tiger in the first one.
There was so many tigers.
There were 4
right?
tigers, but they were chained, which was accurate. They actually did that. They had all sorts of animals that would come up from the pits. The pits were 2 stories, and they would have the animals come up and they would show them off, because if you lived in Rome at the time, you had never seen anything like that before. So in many ways, shape, or form, and I learned this all from the guide that gave us a lovely tour of the Colosseum. She was like, the Colosseum was every bit as much like, it's known for violence, but it wasn't really violent. It was more like a zoo. It was a spectacle.
Yeah.
Like no one's seen a giraffe before. They didn't see a lion. So that, granted, this is hyper crazy, because they're like, what if they fought the tigers? And I doubt anyone ever stabbed a fucking tiger, because FYI, the tiger would have murdered everyone in the arena. And they're like, we're never getting that thing back. It's gone now.
Well,
Rome belongs to the tigers.
Yeah.
Just like San Francisco belongs to the coyotes now. Exactly. This rhino sequence is a video.
But what
game.
you need
It's
to think
wild.
about, Nick, is that in a
The
lot
guy's
of
like
ways,
surfing the rhino.
in a lot of ways, the Dolby Atmos Theater at the Metreon in San Francisco is our Coliseum.
Yeah.
You know, so we're going for spectacle, and we're going to see things we've never seen before, like a man decked out in dope ass fucking armor surfing on a goddamn rhino
Gotta surf
to
on
go
a rhino.
fuck people up. It is art. It is pure art, and I loved it. And it was so insane. And I can't believe it wasn't the most insane gladiator fight in this movie.
Yeah,
It was
that is
nuts.
crazy.
Very, very cool sequence. Very fun fight. Paul Mescal gets a little fucked up in it too, because he gets hit, but the rhino brains itself.
And he
basically.
tries to do the thing.
They do
We
the
can-
thing. They
we can
do the
try
thing.
and stick together.
We've all watched Spider-Man cartoons. We've played Spider-Man games. We know how to take down a goddamn rhino. And they do it.
We got to get him to slam into this wall.
We gotta get him to slam
and
into
this
the wall.
is the first hint,
Like a
I
Mario
feel
boss.
like, of, we know where we're going with this. You're squatting down in this fucking Coliseum. You're picking up the dirt, and we know exactly where this is going. Though I did appreciate that he used it as kind of a little bit of a spectacle.
Distraction.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Magic.
That's pretty cool.
Sleight of hand.
But then when he finds out that his dad's there, he just does it all the time. You're like, hey, what is it? you feel in your bones, your DNA. You gotta touch the dirt.
Yeah,
It's
touch
weird.
the dirt,
Maybe that
yeah.
was just a very
Touch
common
grass,
thing.
touch the-
Anyway, he shows mercy, but the emperor. Sorry, he. I don't know where I went on this. I got lost here. Macromus wins a big bet, of course, with Thrax. Wins his house, wins all that shit. We'll see that later.
Right.
I think actually, Lucius ends up losing this, right? But the Emperor shows him mercy. He denies it instead, and then ends up killing the gladiator, the Emperor's gladiator. Gita quotes his poem in front of Lucilla, who's like, "Oh my God, he's my son.
He's my fucking son.
He must be my son." Granted,
What happened to my son? Let's
Where
have a
is he?
flashback.
Let's
Let's
have
have
a
a moment
flashback.
here.
Let's talk about
I don't know
that.
where it is, Nick, but
This is
let's
here.
talk
No, you're
about
100%
Good.
on.
Let's talk about this scene because it's fucking insane. They're just like, hey, let's watch the end of the first movie again, but then we're actually going to see some more footage than what we've seen.
Thank you, Cool
And
G.
it's like, all right, cool. So Maximus straight up dies, and then it's like, oh, well, like, hey, we got to take care of the kid. And we were joking last in review about this a bit, where it's just like, oh, so what are we going to do? This kid's safe. He's totally safe. He doesn't need to go
Totally
anywhere. He's
safe.
totally fine. Seconds after this, she's like,
gotta get him
"Kid,
out.
You're not safe.
Gotta get
You
him
got to
out."
get the fuck out of here, man. I need to never see you again. I know the good guys just won here. I know that the Rome, the what was it? The love of Rome, or the fucking
The
like
dream.
the dream of Rome
is alive.
We got it, man.
We nailed it.
got it. But kid, you need to go.
Bad writing. Not
It's
good.
silly.
Bad writing, and honestly just makes me not that's where the movie kind of falls short for me, where I'm like, this is just hacky. Like, first off, if you watch the other movie, with what time did she have to put this plot together? Because she was being held captive for like weeks on end by her brother, who was like watching her and having her follow it everywhere. Also, no disrespect, but the other kid's the right age. You don't want to get him back for this? We can't just cast the Lucius kid? I guess he's not really much of an actor anymore. Paul Mescal, much bigger thing, but you could have had
I don't know that we needed it to be the same kid.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
got the
that-
senator
I
back.
would've
Well, and I feel
recognized
like
him.
that also would have been like a very large tell ahead of the movie.
I mean, having said that, like, were they ever trying to even pretend to anybody that's
To a
not
degree,
a complete
but like
moron?
it's one of those things where, like, granted, look, we have photos now. We see people. If you haven't seen your son in 20 years, you could remember. But dude, if you see the actor now that played that kid, you'd be like, that's the guy from fucking Gladiator. I know him. How did she not know this was her son? She like waffles about it for some. I'm not quite sure if it's him or not.
Well, because she doesn't. He's wearing a helmet, so she doesn't see his face, right?
Well, she goes and visits him, and she's like, I think you're my son. And he's like, I'm not. And even if I was, he died a long time ago. And she's like, well, you're definitely my son then.
Well, yeah, because
It's
she goes
cryptic.
into his bedroom and like looks at the walls
Yeah,
and
and the
sees the
poems there.
quotes. Yeah.
Anyway, tries to shoot an arrow at Cassius, and all hell
Sorry.
breaks
The other
loose.
thing is, it is interesting to me that she wouldn't have had some like lower level servant go with him and
She did.
follow him and get
She did.
reports back.
Yeah, they have a
Did-
moment where something happens, and she's like, "You got to run." like, sorry, you're on your own now. Remember, there was some town that got burned down when he was a kid. We get another flashback when he was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And there's another, the handmaid that was sent to like,
Got it,
and that's why he's
yeah.
educated, because she was like educating him as well.
I forgot
He
about
just
that
gets put on
segment.
his own, and then he's off on his own in Africa living adventures, which to me explains sort of how he's resourceful and can fight, because he had to be. Kind of an interesting backstory. I digress. It doesn't fucking matter, ladies and gentlemen, because somebody somewhere had to go fishing for some sharks.
Oh my god.
They have the naval battle. This never happened, but I think the historians theorized that they were like, there was aqueducts, there was like ways to get water in there. So they theorized that they tried to figure out how to make a naval battle happen, but they couldn't. I don't think they could do it.
So this is one of my favorite moments in recent theater experiences, because it was right around here that they went into a flashback. I'm like, okay, this is a good pee-pee break time. So I get up and I go to the bathroom, and I'm not long. I'm not long at all. I'm back in 2.5 minutes max.
Yeah.
And when I walk back in, the arena's filled with water. They're on boats fighting. They get knocked off of the boats, and there's sharks in the water. And I don't even want to know how quickly we got there, how we got there. It sounds like there wasn't actually any setup to it. It was just, we're here now and this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
That's awesome.
They were like,
She's
we're
like, we gotta do
recreating
this again.
We're recreating the naval battle of something, whatever. And it was,
That was insane.
yeah, it was wild. But it was fun as fuck. And to me, this is the best part of the whole movie. Because you're like, this is cool.
It's
There's
just
sharks.
sheer chaos.
People
man.
are getting sharks bitten off, this, there, the other thing. It's absolutely completely wild.
Wow. I love the top-down shots where you just kind of see everything going on, and you see the ships kind of like whirlpooling around, and you see the shadows of the sharks in the water. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is sick as hell.
It's very, very cool. That ends with them winning again. And man, everyone's cool about that. Acacia tells,
No, because he shoots the.
oh, he shoots the
Arrow.
arrow and all hell breaks loose. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Acacius tells Lucia that his army is ready to strike on day 3 of the games. Again,
Games.
very, very like arbitrary. Hey, how about not tomorrow? Why not tomorrow? If I was Lucia, I'd be like, look, dude, I've been living under some fucking asshole's thumb for like the better part of 50 years at this point. Get your army here today. Get them here today.
You got to give them some time, because you know some people are going to be a little late.
They're gonna be
You
a little
know?
late.
I'm
They're on
sure
army
not
time.
everyone
What's
had
the
the
travel
same.
time?
Yeah, there are. Maybe there's an
5,000
obstruction on
people.
the road.
Also, random. Anybody else distracted by who the master of ceremonies was in the Colosseum? The like very pale bald.
I was
person.
distracted by him because he was a lot. I don't know who he
He's
was.
from the
though.
Great British Bake Off.
So what he's also from is he's the roommate of
He plays Rebel Wilson's
roommate,
brother in
or
Bridesmaids.
brother, yeah, in Bridesmaids. That like gets Kristen Wiig kicked out and stuff like that. So the whole time he is like a very kind of flamboyant character, but I'm just like, I'm never gonna see you. Sorry,
Yeah,
is
I'm never
anything
gonna
else
see
other than the
That's
guy
so
from Bridesmaids?
funny.
I just like him with Noel, and he's like, "This is the Great British Bake Off."
I forgot that he's on there.
He was only on it for a couple seasons. I don't think he was very well
Matt
liked on it.
something,
Yeah,
maybe?
something like that. I personally, I like the new cast. Anyway,
Old Greg.
Oh, Matt Lucas?
Old Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Old Greg hosts the Great British Bake Off.
No.
Yeah. Noel, I
Are
forget what
you
his last name
fucking
is.
serious?
Yeah.
Why has no one told me this?
wait, are you? What? Who is this guy from that you know?
Old
Noel,
Greg?
whatever. I don't remember what his last name
Noel
is.
Fielding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he played a character called Old Greg
Oh,
on
the liquor?
Greg.
the Mighty
Greg.
Boosh.
Okay,
which was, like,
so you
so
guys keep saying
iconic.
Old Greg, and I'm like, I don't know what
Oh.
this means.
Oh my
It was like
God.
a big.
This is
Do you
Chad.
love
This is one of those
me?
moments where I was like, "What are you talking about?" You guys just kept saying Old
don't-
Greg.
you don't
Dude, honestly,
Old Greg.
that's kind of it, though.
You don't know about
It's Old
drinking
Greg,
Bailey's
dude.
out of a shoe?
No, man, this is weird shit.
Dude, you want
This
some
is some
Baileys
shit
and
that y'all.
cream?
This is your generation shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
love
is like
me.
Charlie the Unicorn, like
Yeah.
all of that
Love games.
shoes. Yeah.
This is the most Nick humor ever. At some point, I'm gonna make Nick watch this shit. It's
Yeah.
only like an 8-minute short.
I'll watch it.
It's-
But if you like this guy, you should watch the Great British
Yeah.
Bake Off. He's one of the producers and
But
one of the
he's
hosts.
like not. He's not Old
phenomenal.
Greg
Not
on
Old
it.
Greg.
No, he's wonderful
a little
and he's
quirky
very
and
delightful.
weird, but
We
Love
need
games.
Nick to do a live reaction. Of
Oh,
Old
do it
Greg.
after this.
We do.
Chat, hang out.
Holy
We're gonna do it
shit,
on
man.
the Gladiator 2 reaction.
I watched Old Greg with Gia like maybe 3 months ago, and she's never been more mad at me.
oh yeah, that's not
She
a
was
Gia
like-
thing.
See, Tim, that's the
no.
thing is like you gotta know the limits because
Yeah.
that is a side of the internet that I can never show Alyssa.
That might be the line. It might be the line, but it is so Nick though. All right,
Yeah.
sorry.
We'll watch it after
continue.
this. Of course,
But
Macron
it's also
has-
probably not aged well.
Acacius is like, hey, they're coming in 3 days. She's like, he's not gonna last 3 days. You gotta raid the cells and get him out. To which I'd be like, why don't you just bring the army here a little earlier? Whatever. She's like, he's not gonna last that long. They don't like him. He's of course becoming very, very popular. Macrinus rats out Lucilla and Acacius to the twins. During the raid, Acacius and his men are ambushed. Acacius is then taken hostage. And just
really kind of hate all of the him and his mom back and forths and like how much he trusts her, doesn't trust her. It's very surface level and I think bad.
Yeah.
Every betrayal and level of rising that Denzel Washington has, I'm fucking here for.
It's
I
so
feel
good.
like it's so, and the two of those things together, they're the exact same thing, but there's just something about it that I'm like, Denzel makes it work.
Yeah.
he makes it work. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say it just seems like Paul Mescal like rebuffs her and then has like such a quick turn to being like, oh my gosh, it is my mom, that it's like, I feel like we missed some steps here of how you got there.
I will say also the Macrinus stuff is a little rushed, and how he went from being someone who was like kind of on the outskirts to then the emperor in like 3 days.
It's a lot of
But
double or
dude.
nothing.
It really, really is. I mean, he
Yeah.
really bet his way in. But it's fine because Denzel Washington's so fun to watch that I'm like, that's the movie I really wish I was watching, as opposed to Paul Mescal's like remake of this Gladiator movie. But I digress.
You also don't really end up caring about the various accents that Denzel has
There's
during
got a
this
lot,
movie.
you know, but he's a man of the world.
He's a
He's
man
a
of the
man of the
world.
world. We have a wonderful moment here where Pedro Pascal's character and Lucilla are brought before the twins, and the twins like, how dare, and he's like, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, straight up.
He's
Oh,
like, shut
the
the fuck
line.
up. He's like, don't. It's
Like,
just like, stop monologuing
I will not
to
accept
me.
a lecture
Yeah,
from you
fuck
is
you,
like
dude.
along the lines.
And
of
it's
things.
great because Gita goes, you know what, I'll have you fucking crucified. And Macrinus is like, you can't have him crucified. That's what you, like, that's for like lower level people. And this guy's like a legend. You have to like, he has to die in a great way. You have to put him in the Coliseum. And of course, that's where he has to face off against Lucius, which is what Lucius wanted the entire time. And there's some heat here, man. There's some heat. And I just want to give a shout out to the fact that Lucius, bad motherfucker, great, gets his ass beat. Pedro Pascal puts him fucking down
It's good.
and is like, dude, I'm just better than you. Sorry. Like,
Leonardo Raphael shit.
it
I love
is.
it. It's
And then
great.
he's like, but I don't want to kill you because you're actually like, you know, you mean something to my
Same team.
wife.
Same team.
We are the same. I'm not a bad guy. And he's like, shit, maybe you're not a bad guy. And then he gets shot with 400 arrows.
Oh
just
my God.
400 arrows.
Pedro Pascal. If I had a nickel for every time I saw him die in a brutal Coliseum fight, I'd have 10 cents. All right? But they're 10 very memorable cents. Not quite as memorable this death
Oh.
as Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Well,
that
I was
definitely-
like,
the
I don't-
Viper.
I was trying to go through my brain figuring it out, but that would make
He got
sense.
cocky.
But in this, though, him
Look at
just
his face.
sit on his knees and just arrow.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, bro. You're
Yeah.
dead.
Let's see. The crowd does not like this. A riot breaks out outside the palace. Macrinus and Caracalla.
Yeah, the archers start firing into the crowds.
Yeah, so it's getting nuts. If this is going nuts, of course, this is the breaking point for the crowd. They're like, "What the fuck's going on? We don't like it." Outside, the twins are really, really not happy. And then Macrinus sees his opportunity to pour poison, metaphorically, into Caracattus' ear. Gets him to kill Gita, which he sort of helps along with his own hand. He's like, "Let's kill you real quick."
Let's
And
speed
then, of
this up a
course,
bit.
with Caracalla being the last emperor alive, he's able to very, very easily get voted in and take over the Senate. And he's like, "We'll kill the kid later or whatever. We'll keep him alive. Doesn't matter." Of course, he and the monkey have to share responsibilities, which is a wild
Which is the
scene.
craziest thing.
The amount that the monkey was focused on brought me great joy throughout this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were like, when this kid was kind of like, now I'm in charge and I'm gonna like give people roles, I had the thought of like, I hope he fucking makes the monkey the right hand man.
Yeah.
And when he did it, I was like, God, these Gladiator movies, they know what's up.
He's the
Well,
leader-
and
he's the leader
Denzel
of the
knew
leaders.
that was the way to get to him, being like, they're gonna kill your little monkey friend,
Yeah.
and that was like truly the big motivation.
Of course, he gets the great idea. He's like, "I'm going to put Lucilla out there, and all the senators that wronged me, and we're just going to have them killed, basically." And he's like, "Great idea." And then when the other guy's like, "It's a really bad idea," he goes, "I know, but once that happens, they're going to want his head, and I'm going to be the one delivered to him." That's politics. Great moment.
Also, can we talk about Denzel coming out with Gata? It's not Gata.
Caracalla.
No.
Oh, the monkey.
the head of the
Oh,
other
yeah.
emperor.
yeah, dude.
And just like
Boom.
on like the little column table thing.
Good.
That was sick.
Very sick.
Commanding.
Of
the
course.
room.
Yes.
Lucius has better ideas. He has a medic friend we haven't talked about. It's a great little relationship with him, basically the Juba character.
Yeah, I liked
of
him.
this.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
fine.
liked him a lot.
Very cool. Good moments with him. And he's like, "Hey, man."
Smoke some opium.
He's like, "I need you to do some."
Yeah,
Well, who
hope
doesn't
him
want to do that? He's like, "I need you to do me a favor. I need you to ride for like 5 days straight to this port town and rally my army. Tell the generals there that like,
Give them the ring.
this is what's happening. Yeah, give them the ring. Basically, like bring them over here because they need to. Like I'm the rightful heir or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is like to which I'm like, no, you're not. But whatever.
But they knew that it was gonna be Acacius's ring, which they knew that he got from
there.
Yeah.
And the
we
ring
should
is so
also-
sick.
The
On
ring
the
is
inside,
so
having
cool.
all the different names. I'm like, this is cool.
I want to also. I glossed over a lot, obviously, because this movie is very long. But I do want to not gloss over the fact that when he's in the cell, there's lots of names on the wall of badass gladiators that have come and gone throughout these hallowed halls throughout the days. But one name is scratched off, and that name is Maximus. And he's like, "Oh, you don't know about Maximus? Come here." Opens up a secret passage, and there's just this shrine to Maximus for no reason.
His armor, his sword, and I'm like, this
And the
is such a Tim Geddes ass bullshit move, and I love it, man.
It reminds me a lot of when I was hanging out in Healdsburg one time with my wife, and there's this little weird museum up there that's got like old engines from planes out in front of it, a lot of weird knick-knacky shit. And I was like, I've never been in here before. I walk in, guy's like $5 donation, wherever I get. Looking around, and he's got Dave Navarro's gum. Apparently, Dave Navarro, not Dave Navarro, who's the lead singer for used to be in Nirvana, is now in
Dave
Foo
Grohl.
Fighters. Dave Grohl. He's like, this is Dave Grohl's gum, and I was like, why do you have that? And he's like, well, Dave Grohl came in here one time and hung out, and he was really cool. And then he spit his gum out, and I just collected it. And now this is Dave Grohl's gum. I was like, that's a waste.
Hold on.
I can't remember how we got on this theory.
Yeah,
what
no,
were we
so
just talking about?
We're talking about Russell Crowe's armor being up.
Right.
In,
So this is
in
my
the
point.
Coliseum. And
It makes no sense, is what I was going to say.
You bring up, no, it does make sense because they're honoring like one of the best they've ever had.
From 16 years ago, the guy wasn't even there. It was 16 years. In
But
Roman
it's the
times, that's
legend.
millions
It's
of
the
years.
legend.
It's the he's bigger
Heroes
than that.
get remembered,
But
but
also-
legends never die.
The guy's
Nick.
legend was so good that the next day everyone forgot it, and the kid had to flee to fucking Africa. It's weird.
16 years later, they didn't forget. They were forced to forget because the Emperor twins. But I love that for
That
you.
came from where?
But the
Doesn't matter.
detail you gave of the $5 donation to then see Dave Grohl's gum is very funny.
That's what it reminded me of. I was like, this is an odd shrine that you have to this thing.
Did
that
you think it should have been free to see Dave Grohl's
No, I
gum?
just think he shouldn't have had the gum
Oh,
there.
okay.
I think it was just a weird, creepy thing. But hey, I think it's still there if you guys want to see it. It's in Healdsburg.
Added to the
St.
list.
Helena, excuse me, not Healdsburg, St. Helena. Anyway, he gets the cool R word. He's like, oh, this is asparagus and oregano, or whatever the fucking things were, right?
Not wrong.
What are we talking about? He goes out there and he's like, I got better ideas. Go there and also give me your keys. And it's like, if this guy was going to give you the keys, if he had that fucking power, why not do that earlier? Why not have all these gladiators who just are free to mill about, murder everyone because they're clearly in better shape
Rise
than all
up.
of their captors? Rise up. Anyway, they go out there and they save the mom, but not really because she dies. Right. She gets one arrow to the fucking heart. And he's like,
Yeah.
Mamma mia, is what he would have said in Italian. And he's like, I'm pissed off. I'm so fucking mad right now. I'm gonna ride
Well,
after Macronus.
Not to mention, it's Denzel that kills her with a fucking arrow.
Because
Yeah.
he
It's
needed
so
everyone to
badass.
see it. It's badass. And then he's like, well, I gotta ride after this motherfucker. And he's like, hey, real quick, rally like 9,000 of the city guards and bring them out here. And he goes, okay, cool, because good thing too, because there's 5,000 of the other troops out there. And I'm like, oh man, this movie's been on for 2 hours and 20 minutes at this point. I really hope it's not a big battle. And there wasn't. It was a fun little like right out to the gates. And he's like, I can't
Skirmish.
go that way. I can't go this way. Granted, he could have
It was
just
a
probably
standoff.
ridden right through the other army because they don't know who this guy is. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They don't know this guy's
No.
a bad guy.
It is interesting that they let Paul Mescal just ride through the army that is like in theory.
Remember,
This
there's
man can
no-
ride a horse, though.
Have you seen the video? Did I show it
You
to
just
you?
told me about it.
So there's a video that I saw on TikTok. Paul Mescal, he's obviously doing like his whole PR press thing. There's a video of him in dress shoes and slacks being like, oh, I'm going to do the thing again that I haven't done since I did the movie, where the horse is running around the arena and Paul Mescal starts running, fucking mounts the horse
That's cool,
as they're
that is.
both running. It is the most impressive thing I've ever seen. And then the rest of the movie is like one of the horse trainers talking about how like Paul Mescal is the best actor she's ever worked with and like he just understands horses. It's very funny.
He's a horseman.
Horseman.
Horseman. We're at the gates, the bottom of the thing, and they fight, and it's brutal. And then he ends up like fucking just stabbing his ass. Like cuts his arm off, and
That
then
was
just
brutal.
kills
Yeah,
him in the
no,
water.
water.
And then he goes and he's like, "Well, that
Mutilation.
was very short lived." And then he gets out of the water, and this is just me, and I'm weird, and I'm OCD about things, and sometimes I nitpick things that are stupid.
Nick?
But this is definitely. I started laughing because he gets out and he's like, I'm not a guy that makes speeches. We've all been to weddings.
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to do right afterward?
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to make a fucking lame ass speech.
Oh yeah.
And he starts talking. He's like, I'm projecting a lot. And in my brain, I'm like, that the editor, as a goof, cut to like
The whitest shot.
the white shot. And the guy, what is he saying? Because he has a megaphone.
Yeah.
He's not screaming. There's 5,000 people there. Do you ever stand in an arena with 5,000 people and one guy? When we go see
5,000?
movies for screeners, like, excuse me, everybody. What are they talking about? Oh, I get it. Don't film the screen. This is hilarious to me. And I'm like, this movie just needs to end at this point. I'm done. But it doesn't end because he goes back to the Coliseum, which in a moment where you have to imagine they did some test screenings and they were like, we need something here.
We need like a stinger.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the stinger is what I hated. Like him going like all of everything you just said, I was totally fine with as like the climax of the movie. Going back to the
I thought the
Coliseum.
Denzel thing was so disappointing.
Really?
Because you just come off this like huge climax
It was
of
weird.
this fight, and then it builds to nothing.
The
I know.
one-on-one I liked a lot.
It's so short though.
But I mean, that's the thing though, is it felt like a real fight of two people trying to kill each other in the water. It not being in the Coliseum, I think like made it feel special enough. It reminded me a lot of Rocky 5.
Of course. Everyone's favorite.
Everyone,
Everyone's favorite Rocky.
I like Rocky 5 a lot. That does say a lot about my taste.
It's not good. Yeah, I'm more with Joe on this one. I just think, also the Macronist character was very smart and outsmart. And like, it coming down to just a fisticuffs with him, I felt the character a little disservice. But him getting his arm cut off kind of made up for it because that was really violent. And at the end of this, I was like, well, I'm not one to like criticize excessive violence, but this movie was just a little too long. So by the time we got to this point, I'm like, all right, I can't watch people get limbs hacked off anymore. Like, I don't care how many shirtless men you have. Like, we gotta wrap this up. Let's wrap it up. Anyway, he goes in, he's like, I forget what he says, but he's like, we want dad and mom or whatever. And he's didn't he do some of the dirt?
Yeah.
He picked it up.
He picks up the dirt, and then they
nice
play
thing.
the
Smells
main
it again.
theme, the Hans Zimmer theme, and then we get the kind of like discolored bullshit that I didn't like from the first movie. And then it kind of implies that Russell Crowe's like going to go see him. And I was like, I hate that.
Mhm.
I hate it.
Well, he's not, but not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Not today.
He also like reveals who he is, right, to the armies.
Yeah, he tells them I'm Lucius, whatever, and they're like, cool, we believe you.
King of the North, King of the North. Pretty
And
much.
again, all these army people, they got nothing better to do than remember this kid from a long time ago. And nobody doubts this. It just goes.
But he's got the ring,
Of course, he's got the ring.
He's got
Everyone
the
knows
ring.
the ring. They know the ring.
Got another ring.
But he is Lucius, and the senators will back him up as well. I think they're all dead. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think they're
Yeah,
mostly
they're
Pretty sure they all
dead.
died.
I
Pretty
mean,
sure
we see their
anyone-
ashes and shit, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, if they're gonna do a Gladiator 3 and it really is about him like fighting the rest of the thing and like becoming a general and like taking back Rome, that'd be pretty cool. But it's not
I don't
gonna
know
be.
if I need that.
yeah, I don't know.
I certainly don't need him back in the Gladiator 3, back in the habit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Let's get to a thing I like to call ragu bagu. Da 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 da.
Ragu.
Da 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 da.
Hey, made you laugh. Bagu. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rad Guys Talk. Bad Guys here for Gladiator in review. Today, we're going to slot the Twin Emperors and Macronus in.
Fuck,
And
this
they're
is a
kind of
hard
bad to the
one.
bone.
Yeah, here's the thing. I love Commodus in the last one.
Yeah.
Love him. Thought he was fucking great. Everything he needed to be. Perfect type of Starscream-esque villain. You can't fuck with the Twin Emperors. And then you're like, oh, wait, they're not even the main bad guys. The main bad guy's Daniel Washington, and he's freaking awesome. Denzel Washington, awesome. Number one.
I put him at number one.
For me, I think this is a tie.
Which I'm cool
Yeah.
with too, but
I know
the
I've been
twins put it
outvoted.
over the edge for me.
Mhm.
I love the little goddamn monkey.
Yeah, to me that they were like more bratty and liking the spectacle of everything versus like Commodus I felt like was like inherently more evil. But I mean we're arguing like such minuscule things at this point.
Well, it's tough too because
For me.
I mean they gave Joaquin Phoenix a little bit more to do. The Twin Emperors really aren't in the movie that much, but just the concept of the
Still
Twin
seeing
Emperors
them.
is the coolest thing on it. I got to put him at number one.
Yeah. And then now ranking the Gladiator movies. Currently number one, we have Gladiator. Where do we put Gladiator 2?
I feel like it's
So for me, this is an enjoyable movie. I do think you should see it in theaters. I think if you want a fun popcorn action film, it's great. but it does pale in comparison to the specialness of the first one. The first one just managed to captivate the world like very few movies do. It's kind of lightning in a bottle, and I think largely a lot of that had to do with Russell Crowe and his burgeoning star power and just his charisma in the movie. And so I think that while this movie's serviceable and has great action sequences, it pales in comparison. It's got to go number 2 for me.
Yeah, it's 2 for me too. I think between a couple different things, the ending was like not particularly satisfying for me, and I think some of it's weird that it's such a long movie, and I feel like some of the plot points get drawn out, and then some happen so quickly. So like the turn of like him and his mom, I think happened too quickly. I think that's just Gladiator's like not a perfect movie, but it's a 5 out of 5, and it's like kind of hard to top that.
Yeah, I definitely. Was it?
I said a little bit. Yeah.
I put this at number 2 easily. I think the first one, just as a whole, is a way better movie. But I do think that the highs of this they're high.
Pretty good.
And I think this is an excellent theater movie for sure. And I love theater movies. So shout out to the Gladiator movies. Very happy we watched these. What an experience it was. Like I was saying, next week we're going to try our damn best to return to Miyazaki and review with The Boy and the Heron. We'll keep you updated if that changes, but it really shouldn't. It really shouldn't. We should be fine. But until next time.
Strength and honor.
Gladiator.
Love you guys. Bye.